or a king abdicates, somebody is going to take over. Since of all the people sitting on the dais, I have the least of the overheads, so I'll automatically take over maybe. So we have a great time available right now to interact. So I'll leave it to all of you to be asking questions, suggestions, and so that we can have some meaningful discussions. And if the question, you should give your name, a very brief question, very pointed one. And if you want any one of us to be specifically answering, take that person's name.
Can you hear me? All right. There's a question to Mr. Hussain. See, for Kerala, they seem to have significant wind potential. When I went through some literature, I think there's a potential of about at least a declared potential of 2,000 or 3,000 megawatts available, 1,000 megawatts available. It could be higher actually, because these were recorded many years back at 50 meters height. From the seabed side of it, what else do you think you could do to ensure that more entrepreneurs come to put up wind farms in Kerala? Now that seabed itself has said, in fact, I was talking to Dr. Gomati Nayakam about a couple of months back, and he himself admitted within seabed they have agreed, they have in fact informally raised the potential in India from 48,000 megawatts to 103,000 megawatts, which means in Kerala also now it's probably 3,000, 4,000 megawatts, no longer 1,000. 1,500, whatever, but they have just about 35 megawatts. What do you think CWET can do? Because this is an area which can be exploited quickly, the wind part of it. This is a question both to ANERT as well as to CWET.
So it is a very limited factor only. See, logistically, even by going by car itself, it's a very big problem in Kerala. So taking that 80 meter blades and tower, everything is very difficult, and putting a foundation, trying a transmission line itself is the biggest problem here. That is the logistical problem. Otherwise, in Tamil Nadu, next to, if you cross that Kanyakumari and Nagarkoil, you will have thousands of installations where logistic is very simple, easy logistic we are having. So potential is one aspect, and logistic is another aspect. Kerala is lagging behind this logistic support.
Actually, of course, we have a lot of logistical issues. If you go for a higher dia machine, maybe higher hub height machines and all, like, see, what we installed is a 600 kilowatt machine, another is 750 kilowatt machine. 750 is from Vestas and 600 kilowatt from Suzlon. So the issue is, like, if you go for a 2 megawatt machine, you need more than 80 meter hub height and blades like that. But other than that, there is another issue that I just want to share with you, sir. That's why Dr. Narasimhan has asked that question. See, we did the initial studies in 90s. I was also involved in 90s immediately after my graduation. So that was up 20 meter that I just mentioned. The measurement done at 20 meter height, manually, some guys will be posted there. Whenever we went to collect the data, he took the notebook and completed the readings. So now the whole strategy changed. We have the automated kind of online web system software is there. You will get the data in your desktop or laptop. So the issue is, like, you don't have data. Maybe I think more than about 5 or 6 people, private developers, only installed wind turbines after 2000. I just checked with the CWET website. After 2000, only hardly 5-6 people, 5-6 developers like Vestas maybe, they have installed the wind mast, which is not at all sufficient for this kind of wind farms. Even we got the technical sanction for 22 megawatt in Palakkad area, another 5 megawatt in Ramakalmed. Palakkad, we don't have the logistical issues. The issue is, like, you need at least 1 year wind data. So I think we need some help from CWET to put some wind masts. Already you are helping. You are helping us. Actually, with the help of CWET only, we already installed 8 numbers of wind masts now. But we need to go for another maybe assessment immediately to assess even we can go for that coastal area also, at least some selected location. So we need that data. Only with the data only we can approach the developer. Developer won't come without a bankable data. Yeah. That's what I'm telling. Developer-wise, actually 5-6 people put the mast after 2000. Only 5-6. But when we are comparing with the Tamil Nadu or Gujarat, particularly I have an experience. Gujarat, I think maybe more than 50 installations, wind mast installations done for the last 10 years. More than 50 installations means more than 50 data. If you have more than 50 data, you have 50 energy yield assessments. That is ready with the developer. So the developer can go for the installation. That is one of the problems.
You are talking about measurement of wind speed by the developer. Can we expect a developer to come and check the wind speed before he get a work order? He cannot. So it is better the government should find funds for research work and let the government do the job and give the data to the developer. That should be the procedure.
This is actually this model is there in almost all the states. Like private developer, maybe by lease or something, some way they are getting land and doing the studies and all. In Kerala also some area they have done, but that is a right suggestion from sir, that will be well taken because if the government initiates, that will be more good to get collect data and all. But yeah, that will be good. At the same time, we can supplement with the private developers' data as well.
Maybe Dr. Gopi and you, Hussain, for wind, for Kerala, why not look at micro wind, which is, I'm talking about rooftop mounted or cliff mounted, which are for home usages in kW range, not megawatt range at all. I'm talking about sub 10 kW, 3 kW, 5 kW. And second is offshore wind. We got 593 kilometers of our shore availability. Have we studied and are you intending to study? Is there a possibility?
One study was conducted for the offshore wind power project, but it is not that much encouraging for the investment. Even for Tamil Nadu also it is not encouraging. So it is not advisable at this present situation. Offshore project in India is becoming very 3-4 times costlier than online.
If you go for a 5 megawatt mast.
No.
Even
whatever it may be, the size is different. Because of this foundation and then laying transmission line, it is very costly in now in India. So as compared to with land, that is why. But already it is also on the process. We are slowly developing that one. Rameshwaram offshore, we have already assessed the potential, and we are going to install some wind mast there. Again, we are going to assess it. Once that assessment is over, we can go for offshore project in India. In India, so far, not yet offshore project is started so far.
Why I specifically asked for Kerala, there is a reason for it. If you look at the peninsula
No,
of
you are
India,
talking about only that offshore. Offshore means wind density is very important. Not only wind speed.
availability.
Wind density. Wind along with density.
Yeah.
So it is happened only. It is not that we can imagine and we can get it that
We
one.
have to study.
We have to study and we have to confirm it. Then only that our investment will be meaningful.
Okay.
That is, it is on the process.
Good.
But this small aero generated what I am suggested is not grid connected. It is only captive. That means along with the solar you can charge with the supplementaries.
Good afternoon. My name is Sri Kumar. My question is to Ms. Prabha Dabal. Whether IRDA is giving any subsidy, grant or soft loan to renewable energy manufacturing component units. For example, solar cell or solar panel manufacturers, whether these industries can get any subsidy or soft loan or grant.
Yeah, let me first clarify. Actually, subsidy part is totally the government of India, that is our MNRE usually announce. And whatever it is there, minus that whatever the project cost come in the manufacturing sectors, whether it is a panel or it is the natural like wind generators, wind turbines, etc. Whatever it is the manufacturing process of the renewable energy equipment, we do finance. But subsidy part is totally government of India announces time to time, that is the subsidy part.
Can I give an answer for it? There are two arms of the central government which has got money available. One is the Department of Science and Technology, second under TIFAX scheme, and second is MNRE. For renewable energy equipment manufacturing, if it is a technology development program, you will get up to 50% of the total money. You can get it. And if you want to get a little more, you will have to make your in-kind contribution sufficient so that almost 70-75% is the entire material cost of the entire thing can come. And these are limited up to 10 crores of rupees. If you've got any proposal, I can help you. Not in my job, but as a person, as a human being, I can help you. It's available. And let me tell you, if one more good thing for India is the NSM second, the National Solar Mission Program. The government, after a lot of difficulty, has accepted a 70% localization. It's already confirmed by the Cabinet Committee, and it is going to be coming in as a law. It will be coming on the website of as a gazette any moment, which means in balance of the NSM program by 2022, that is 2022, India should be generating 20 gigawatt, that is 20,000 megawatt, of which 1,750 is already bidded out and gone out. Approximately 18,000 megawatt worth of solar panels are going to be made, of which 70% is going to happen in India. So anybody has got an intention, knowledge and the staying power to take on the Chinese, Taiwanese equivalent in knowledge, please get into that. It's a great business to be in. And somebody mentioned also over here that Kerala should do research also in that. So sign up with KUSAT and with the Department of Science and Technology, get technology transfer done, set up a factory over here. And I'm sure Mr. Tom Jones can help you with the KSIDC land and equivalent of that. It's a great opportunity for Kerala.
I have a question regarding small-scale wind farms. We have a large tract of plantation in Kerala, especially tea and tea gardens. Is it possible to have small wind generators?
Actually, for any kind of wind installations, you need data. That is very important. So you can go for off-grid like a kind of small wind hybrid systems. I did a study on that a couple of years back. So in the country, it never progressed. It's not because of the technological issues. The issue is like the wind data. You have a small wind hybrid systems in Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat. Like because of the wind speed already available. So you have to find the pockets where wind speed is available, install the system. So otherwise, it will be just like you can install the system, it will be there. It won't be working. So it's an excellent system, as sir was pointing out, because it supplements. Like whenever sunlight is there, it charges the battery, and whenever wind is there, it also charges. So the battery will be always okay. So for this particular suggestion, we can have a study. Like at least 1 year data is needed. In Taiwan, in Thailand and all, there are wind farms with the small wind turbines, like 10 kilowatt turbine, small wind farms are there. That kind of models are also available. But for that sort of things, you need data. Otherwise, we cannot courageously invest on this. But of course, you can have a wind off-grid charger.
If I were an owner of an estate in Munnar, what I would do is that I'll put 2-3 of them over there. It doesn't cost a fortune to put it across. So in any case, you're going to get that power. Once you have that wind mapping done on your own, don't depend upon anybody, then automatically you'll have maybe 3 or 4 companies standing in queue to supply it to you later for the larger ones. It's practical that way. I mean, the logic says that a rich and mountainous kind of a nature, which doesn't have tall trees, should certainly have wind availability at a lower height. It's a natural theory. It should be available.
One more thing just to supplement. In Mumbai and all, skyscrapers, a lot of skyscrapers installed small wind turbines on their rooftops, which saved them during the floods in 2005. During the 2005, emergency power supply was there in all the skyscrapers, in lifts and all. It was an excellent scene from there. Just because of the small wind turbines, I have personally seen hundreds of small wind turbines in Mumbai, where in skyscrapers they have installed small wind plus PV systems.
Ajit, this is a question for you. On biomass, since Kerala is well endowed with a whole lot of greenery, and obviously you guys are pretty good when it comes to bioenergy, are there specific plans that ANERT has when it comes to biomass gasification especially? Because not only do you generate or rather recover energy from the biomass, you can also get charcoal which can be sold at a fairly good price. I've met a few people about a year back who are very keen. I was in Cochin, but I don't think they progress much. I'm a bit surprised that Kerala hasn't gone further ahead in this, especially biomass to heat or biomass to power using gasification. Have you guys done any research or any plans on that?
It's a good question, sir. Actually, we have a few biomass gas fields in place in Kerala. We don't have a widespread program. Actually, we did some taluka level biomass assessment and all. That is maybe 1 decade back. And we don't have data available now. You need data if you go for small or maybe medium-sized biomass gas fields. So when you go for Anchor-based or Indian Institute of Science-based biomass gas fields, you kind of do an assessment for that. I personally visited some own biomass gas field installed in Palod, near Trivandrum, where they use coconut shells. So even though we have plenty of coconut trees available, they are getting it from Tamil Nadu. So we have to see that you have a constant feed available. And then only, or if you are going for pellets also, you need to have that kind of energy plantations. So once that is in place only we can go for that. But it's a very serious thing we have to address.
This biomass program, this is more or less wind energy program. Just like biomass, assessment is very, very important for this biomass program.
Exactly.
Without this assessment, if you put even in a small kilowatt size also fail it.
It will fail. Definitely fail.
Definitely
because
fail
you
it.
need data because
You need the assessment, total assessment for the whole year, and it should be on a continuous basis, not in 1 day or 2 day offer. You wanted to burn it every day, and it requires lot of assessment into biomass. Most of the system in biomass program failed because of wrong assessment made.
Exactly.
Made in the throughout India, I am talking. Even.
And the pollution. If you go for, of course, Indian Institute of Science has a very good technology on that. But the tar generated out of that from the Anchor kind of thing is very dangerous. I have seen that kind of tar in the plant I have visited. So if you have a very good technology available, addressing the tar issue and all, it's good, but provided you should have the feed stuff always available.
Since you brought in an issue, I'll just answer and you can come on to that. There is technology available. Let me tell you, IISc technology was given at a 15 lakh rupees to anybody who could buy it. That's where Ankur is the name that you mentioned about. The difficulty with that is not even tar. It produces a gas which has got a calorific value of 850 to 1000 kilocalories per nm cube. And half the time our engine will not function. So there is no payback for it. That's the reality. What you need is a transport gasifier which uses fluidized technology, which is available to the India or Europe. Somebody showed it over here in the morning also. We are building up a 1 megawatt soya waste based gasifier along with the India power plant generation for Ruchi Soya. This technology is brought into the country through Government of India only. We are getting it through the Government of India. So if anybody wants it, certainly please, we can help us, help people out. But one thing in my understanding, we are a green state, doesn't mean that there is sufficient biomass available. And there will crop patterns changes in Kerala. So it will not be practical for somebody to have the crop pattern studied and put a biomass based power plant. You should have a briquetting as a concept where any and every waste, bio waste, it is not biomass, it's a bio waste which can't be in Kerala. You will be needing it for food. After food, what you need is fodder. Where cattle population is going up. Third is going to be firewood because not every house has got a gas connection. So after the third preference, fourth comes for generation of power. So you can't be characterizing it in village to village or district to district. You should have a briquetizing capability which will have a binder and any kind of a waste can be gasified. That's what is the only solution for Kerala. It's available today in the world. But please realize Kerala wants everything, but you should be willing to pay for it. The technologies are available, but European level of technology. When you indigenize it, an Indian company will be able to bring the cost down, but not to the extent where you can compare that with the electricity that is available from hydel plant. So you're going to have a commercial price available for it, technology is available.
Since he asked about the biomass power,
Yeah.
see, I represent a company by name Infinity. We are offering biomass-based power projects. As you said, the tar is the problem,
Yeah.
but the technology is from a patented technology from Indian Institute of Science, and that is successfully running for the last 10 years. And now GE has taken over the technology because the gasifier, the gas produced, the producer gas, it should be of the sufficient quality. And that quality has to be assured. And this IIC technology, they have got a filtering system and a cooling system as well as a water column, so that all the impurities is removed. And we are putting up a plant of 7 megawatts capacity in Karnataka as a captive power plant. Of course, for your information, in Kerala also, 2 public sector companies have put up gasifier, one in Kundra Ceramics and one in Punalur Oil Palm India. What happened is the gasifier is not of the proper technology and the system won't work. The engine won't work. So that is why we said the technology of the gasifier is very crucial. And Kerala is benefited with enough biomass. We have got enough wood waste is here. See, you can't have rice husk because there is no paddy cultivation. But you have got other biomass materials, even rubber wood. After the slaughtering, you have got enough firewood, and we have done a market study because sometimes it is available at 2.3 rupees per kilogram. Why? Because 1 unit of power needs 1 kilogram of firewood. So in Kerala, this is one of the best options, and we have done a lot of marketing. But people are asking, do you have a plant in Kerala? No, Kerala, where is the power generation? There is no power generation in the private sector. So, but in Tamil Nadu, it is running for the last years and 10 years, and they are connected to the grid. Thank you.
Since you brought in the issue of paddy, other than rices, Kerala is going to have a paddy waste available. It's because again a change of cultivation or kind of harvesting done. Maybe 10 years back, people did the harvesting. So you use a sickle and cut from the bottom. So you hardly had a stubble available there in the field. Today, with the mechanization of harvesting happening, you normally leave a pod of approximately 1 foot, which either you get the water into the thing and it gets into dissipation done that way, or else you set it to fire. If you are able to take it out, you can gasify that. You can't combust it. Combustion is not the right technology for it. Thermal oxidation doesn't work there. So, in my opinion, if somebody were to do a calculation, maybe Anand could do it, maybe the ministry could do that way. Even with whatever the limited paddy cultivation available, you should be able to generate a couple of 100 megawatt from this one. It's possible. That's available waste where, pattern won't change. It will remain the same. Paddy pod is a paddy pod.
Just to supplement, sir, I was referring about the other technology. Indian Institute of Science Technology, of course, doesn't have the tar.
So shall we conclude the QA session now?
Please. Anybody virtually pregnant with the question that if you don't ask, you will not feel comfortable not having asked about, then you can ask. Otherwise, we'll cause it. Anything? Any further?